Now, before we get into today's episode, let me ask you something. Have you reached a point where you know that you're capable of more, but you're not completely clear on what your next move should be? Maybe you're navigating a change in your business, your career, in your life. You got a few different directions that you could take, but you need someone experienced to help you to step back, to see what's really going on, and to make a clear decision. I'm currently taking on a small number of private one-on-one coaching clients where you'll work directly with me to get clear, to build a practical plan, and to start moving forward powerfully. Go to resultswithjoel.com, fill out the short application, and tell me what you're navigating. That's resultswithjoel.com. All right, now let's get into this episode.
All right, ladies and gents, welcome to the Addicted to Success podcast. I'm your host, Joel Brown. I'm here today with Bill Walsh, the king of objection handling. He's the founder and CEO of the Objection Box, which is one of the fastest growing sales training companies in the world. This guy took an idea that he scribbled on a piece of paper at the gym and turned it into a multi-million-dollar movement that's helping salespeople close with confidence and lead with certainty. In less than 2 years, he generated a $4 million in rev, picked up the 2 Comma Club Award, and built a community of thousands of closers who swear by his framework. Bill's trained teams all over the world to 2x to even 5x their income in under 45 days. Very impressive. He's not just teaching sales, he's teaching leadership, he's teaching mindset and mastery under pressure. So ladies and gents, let's get ready, because today we're going to dive into the psychology, the frameworks, and the wild stories behind how Bill became one of the most respected voices in the sales arena. Bill, I'm excited to have you here today, mate.
There you go. Every time that someone gives you an introduction, it always makes you feel creepy and a bit weird, but thank you very much, buddy. That was absolutely amazing. I got to tell my partner about all this because she just sees me as the person that needs to take out the bin. So there's
Well, that's good. You're keeping it real at home. That's the way to go.
It is.
I love it. Awesome. Well, look, man, I want to dive in first to just who is Bill. So if you were to share with me, what is your number one superpower? And I want you to share a superpower that maybe somebody might not know that's seen your social media content, and then your superpower when it comes to the public arena.
Shit. I think the superpower over and over again has always been resilience at the face of everything, every issue, problem, concern, every difficulty that has happened in my life, every no, every door slam, every fired position, everything that ultimately has shaped you into the person you are today. So for me, it's definitely resilience. And then I think behind closed door, it's actually, I would actually say emotional. I'm highly emotional in my own little right, in my own little way, which means I care a tremendous amount for the people that I love and the people that I want to help in life. So I think emotion, but also caring, and then resilience at the forefront of everything that you guys get to see daily.
I love that. That's a great combination for sure. Yeah, and great for sales too, because you need to care. You can't just be transactional as well. So I love that. Now, I know in your content that I've watched over the past year or two, you often bring up failure being part of winning, right? And you even joked around about wanting a statue built one day. And what's the biggest failure that sculpted the Bill Walsh that we see now? What would you say that is?
The biggest failure that has happened in my life, I think the biggest, honest failure that has happened is probably the breakdown of the relationship I have with my kids' mum. I think that's kind of really shaped me over the last number of years. It was a very difficult couple of years, and I'm very honest, I'm very open, I'm very transparent about all of it. I think that's kind of really the biggest disappointment that I've had in my life, the biggest, let down, the biggest disappointment that has definitely shaped me for a better person. It's definitely kept me honest. It's also reshaped, the lonely days and the quiet times and everything else. You don't really know yourself until you sit with yourself for a large period of time when the noise stops and you're lying in bed at night and you're tossing and turning. So I think that's kind of been the biggest part. Obviously then the professional aspect is obviously, putting your life out there for everyone to judge and to everyone have an opinion on you as a person, as a business owner, as a man, as a leader. I think that's difficult in its own right. Uh, Everything that I've ever done is difficult. Sports, relationships, military, businesses, it's all been difficult, which is, as I said to you, kind of shaped our whole world around resilience.
Yeah, man. How many kids do you have?
I got two. I got two little girls. You know, they're 10. No, she's 11. Sorry, she's 11. And I got another one who was born in 2020. So she is coming up on 6 next year.
Okay.
I was
How
too
would
young.
you?
Too young, Joel.
Yeah, I was going to say you must have been pretty young when when your first one came along for sure.
Correct.
Yeah, and you're not. How old are you now?
I will be the great old ripe age of 33 here in November.
Okay, so you had her when you were around 21,
21.
22.
Yes.
Yeah.
21.
So, I mean, man, even to think back about who I was at 21, even who I am now at 38, 33 even, it's, yeah, you're gonna go through a process of evolution.
Yeah.
How do you hope that your daughters will see you? Like if they were to think of, Bill Walsh is my dad, this is who he is,
Mm.
how would you like them to describe you?
I would like them to describe me, hopefully, over the next 30, 40, 50 years of my life, someone that was there, someone that heard, someone that listened, and somebody that fought for them, and everything that they need and everything that they want, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, everything that, a great child needs from a parent. And that's the most important thing. It's presence and knowing that they're there. I may not be there 24/7, 365. I may not wipe the tears and, wash the hair and all that great stuff every day. But the biggest thing for me is as you grow old, you just got to know that they're there. That's it. I know that with my own parents, they're there 24/7. If I ever need a phone call, they're there. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that any child needs is the presence of someone that loves them unconditionally.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one of my friends is in a similar situation to you, and he said that he, I think his kids are about 19. One's 19, one's 22.
Mm.
He said they come to me when they need something in the sense of any sort of support, and he said that's winning. I know that I did the right job because they know that it's safe to come to me, and so that's awesome. And I love that you're being transparent, that you're being vulnerable, even straight from the get go. And I think that that's very much what's needed now. You have a lot of people that are sort of swinging their dick around and showing off, all their numbers, but you're a real one. So I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's cool.
And if they actually just was honest with people would actually have to make more money. And it's not necessarily about being vulnerable to make money. It's about being vulnerable because that's who you are. You are vulnerable. We're all vulnerable. No one's a fucking bulletproof machine. We all have our own insecurities, our own difficulties. We all have our own mistakes that we have to hold up and, walk with and stuff. So just be honest with people. It's the most important thing, and it's what people want in life.
To that point, brother, when you're on a sales call, right? And you can just tell sometimes when people are avoiding, they're deflecting. They'll talk about something that they're struggling with and they'll quickly go to a win or something that they did that was great. How do you drill deep to get that honesty? Do you set a frame beforehand? Let's talk, frameworks here. Let's talk about the psychology of sales now. I'd love to get your perspective on this.
Firstly, it's about understanding what the question you're looking for, meaning like what is the answer you're looking for. The second thing is you're picking up on cues and trigger points. So that's obviously body language, pace, cadence, inflections, deflections, avoiding eye contact, where they looking, how's the body looking, all of that kind of stuff. How quickly do they hear the question, but also try and change the answer and change the direction of where the conversation is going. All of that stuff is called EQ in my eyes, and it's about understanding your prospects, but it's about understanding people at a greater scale. And how you do that and how you keep going that is you understand when someone is awkward around a conversation. You understand when someone is awkward around the question that you asked. You have to double back. You have to actually keep them there. Because if you don't, unfortunately, especially with men, they won't keep opening up the door. Once they open up the door, it's about you taking control and moving through that door and obviously having the confidence to keep moving past. That's what most people are lacking in sales. Is they have the confidence, they know what to say, but they just don't have the belief system inside to actually go and ask those questions. And that's the difference between being a good closer and a world-class closer, is having the confidence to go.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, man, because I noticed some of my best sales calls, if I go back and listen,
Mm,
I remember the exact point. I felt uncomfortable asking the question, but I did it anyway. And then it opened up a whole new world in that call.
correct. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. And if you're uncomfortable, guarantee you your prospect's going to be uncomfortable. But it's about leadership. It's about giving your prospects what they ultimately need. They need confidence. They need certainty. They need conviction. And if they don't have it inside, they're looking for it. They're seeking it.
Mm,
It's up
mm,
to you as a leader to be able to give it to them.
mm. Yeah. I know you talked about being in the military. I'm sure you learned a lot, especially when it comes to routine, structure, and discipline. You said that you were drilling until you could do it with your eyes closed. So, what would you say is a lesson from those days that still runs your business today?
Great question. I think the whole context of military, I think everyone should have to go to the military for 2 years. I think from the age of 16 to 18 or 18 to 21 or something like that, I think every single person, male and female, should spend 2 or 3 years in military, because what it does is it shapes you for life, and it ultimately gives you an understanding of you're not a brittle piece of glass, and you're also resilient in everything that you should be doing in life. The biggest lesson that I learned around military was no one cares if you're tired. No one cares if you're sick. No one cares if you're emotional. No one cares if you're winning, if you're losing, if you've slept, if you haven't slept, if you're having a good day or a bad day, if you're the best or the worst. You still have to turn up, and you still have to show up, and you still have to do. And I think that's kind of been the biggest part of my life over the last 2.5 years, 3 years. Is like, as other parts of your life starts to dwindle away and it starts to fucking basically fall apart, do you have the resilience to keep going? Do you have that kind of like attitude as I just got to go to work and I just have to keep going? I've been able to do that, and I've been able to keep going day after day when most people will fucking break under an inch of the stress and the pressure that I have. And to the point where I've, nearly just made $10 million. But you have to keep going. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep getting after. Because if you don't, there's someone that's going to come and take it away from you. And that's the key to everything. So, biggest lesson that I've kind of taken away from military is definitely respect. You got to respect people. And you don't respect people because they tell you to respect them. That you respect them because they show you why you should respect them. And then the second thing is just the kind of attitude to keep going and keep pushing and keep getting after it. Without those two things, I wouldn't be here today.
Mm. Powerful, brother. I appreciate you sharing that.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a saying: "Weak men create hard times," and I can see the way of the world right now. We have way too many snowflakes, right? And so, we're at a point where if you can have that resilience, that's a great advantage in this world. And anyone can learn it. It's not like it's only there for the elite or the mythical or mystical characters of this world. It's you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
What is it like? What is resilience? Resilience is only the ability to get up and go again.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally it. We all get up out of bed every morning if we're lucky. And we all get in our car every day and drive. So, like, even if you can do it when you don't want to do it, that's called resilience. Because you have a greater need and you have a greater goal that ultimately requires that work. That's all it is.
We're always telling ourselves stories, right? Either good or bad, or helpful or unhelpful. What do you tell yourself in a moment where you feel like you're running up against a wall? I know nobody's perfect, right? We all have our
Yeah.
moments, but for you, is there a rule that you've created in your mind, a condition? Is there a story you tell yourself that helps you to get over that wall?
Um, I think it's not a story, it's people for me. It's always been people. When people rely on you, when people depend on you, when people look to you for the answer, when they look to you for a paycheck, when they look to you for, a vehicle of helping them get out of their own shit. I think purpose is a big portion of my life. Purpose is a big mental driver. When you are financially secure and you are able to walk into any offer, any company and fucking demand a high pay package, you're pretty set up for most of your life. So what else is going to drive you every day? What else, gets you up and moves you? What else gets you to the gym every day? What else gets you to work every day? It's purpose. And people for me has always been purpose. So my family are a big portion of that. My students are a big portion of that. The people that have worked with me are a big portion of that. And I say with me, I don't say for me. Everyone is giving me something that I need, which is that purpose and that drive and that, resilience to keep going. Because without them, I would have probably stopped a long time ago.
That's deep. I love that, brother. That's great. I remember you saying that your program that you have at the moment, the objection box, which by the way, I know a few people that have gone through it and they swear by it. They say it's incredible training. So well done. You had shared that you came up with this idea when you first were writing on the back of a scrap of paper at the gym.
Yeah.
What exactly happened that day? Why was that moment so pivotal for you, Billy?
Yeah, so to kind of a full backstory, I got fired from 7-Eleven, which is Jeremy Miner's team, all those years ago, which was something that I didn't want to do. And I always say, like, if I wasn't fired, I'd probably still be there. I'd be a partner in that company now. And we would have made millions and tens upon millions of dollars together. But that's life. That's how things go. I I came into sales in 2021, and by March, I was the top guy in 7th level and all of that great stuff. And that's all history and whatever else. But I realized, Joel, very, very simple. When I came into sales, there was nobody that could actually own the space of high ticket sales, of objection handling, leadership, and 2.0 identities and framing and all of that great stuff. I looked around and Jeremy didn't know how to do it. I looked around and other people didn't know how to do it. You looked at Cardone, didn't know how to do it. You look at all of the people that didn't know how to do it, because it's all based on theory. I actually coached it in application in 7th level. And when I left, I was like, there's a big gap there in the market, because I solved basically the biggest issue that most people don't have in sales. Most people have in sales, which is, how do I actually close out deals? How do I actually become a rainmaker? How do I actually, build mavericks and leaders and all of that great stuff? So that was really how it was. I went to the spa, went to the gym, came back out, scribbled it down on a piece of paper, and I knew I had something, and I brought it to the market, and the market, paid me handsomely for it over the last number of years. Because I just had the balls. I had that little bit of, bit between my teeth. I had that attitude of, fuck you, watch this. And I had, as I said to you, that resilience. I had a point to prove to not only everybody, but mostly to myself, and that's what sometimes you need, is that special ingredient.
A true A player. I've got a poster here of Michael Jordan, right, flying through the sky, and he had his moment close to failure, or what somebody could have said he was written out, right? But you didn't let that get to you, and I love that. That's awesome. And you're right. I notice even in myself, when it gets to the objection handling process, there's so much focus on what to say. It's like ninja moves, it's always like, hey, what's the line? And so you look at your little Rolodex of things I can say in the moment. And even I know that's not right. So
No.
how do we handle this? Let's talk about the mindset frame when somebody says, and this is the most common one, is, I don't know, I need to think about it.
Mm-hmm. So firstly, what is the think about objection? What is an objection anyway, Joel? What are they actually saying to you?
Well, I think it's fear. I think they're putting it off. It's like not right now, maybe.
But
Maybe.
what they're actually saying, Joel, if you just broke it down to the actual bare bones, is they're just saying the word no.
True.
That's all.
Except they're sugarcoating it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're using words to ultimately mask what they really want to say, which is no. So first you have to understand what the hell is going on. Okay. And the think about objection is, so if I gave you more time to think about it, and you had time really with yourself to think about it, what do you think that you're going to think about to make sure whether you're thinking about it is the right stuff to think about? Makes no sense, does it?
Yeah.
So when people go away, so if I asked you to go away, I gave you information, you're going to go away and you're going to consume that information, and you're going to make a decision based on that information. A big portion of a think about objection is, firstly, you have to confirm with what you do, with what you've given. Does it work? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Now I'm taking the no into gray, and then from gray I'm going to come back to green. Whereas most people, if I showed you in a diagram now, so someone says no, but at the top of the mountain is yes. The problem with all of these closers that I get to take and close and train and develop, they're trying to go from a solid no to a solid yes. And it's just too much of a jump. They're trying to go from a vegan eater to a steak eater. It's just too much of a jump. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
You have to gradually build them back up, which is a lot of mini yeses. But first you have to understand what the objection is. And when they do go away and consume what you've given them or what they need to think about, what is that coming up that makes them want to do so? Mostly they're going to bring you into another smoke screen, which is a partner, potentially. Or they're going to say something around, do I have the time? Do I have the energy? Do I have the commitment, which is a fear? And then they're going to go to financials. And then it's like full, partial, or none. It goes to money, which is obviously a different framework that I coach. Is it money fear? Is it money logistics? And I see a ton of people going out there and coaching my concepts, but that's what it is. Once it hits money, is it money and fear? Is it money and logistics? From there, then it's a completely different frame, both sides. But a big part of obviously objection handling, Joel, is number one, do you have the fucking bottle to do so? Do you have the cojones in your hands, in your pants? That's the first thing. The second thing is, do you have a framework that you believe in? And then the third thing is, can you fucking just go for it? Can you do enough reps to actually get over shit and actually push through? That's all objection handling is. And everyone's like, let's just have objectionless closes. But if I give you any amount of closers in this industry, whether it's high ticket closes, whether it's door-to-door car sales, whether it's B2B, if I put 10 people in a room, 8 people are always going to get objections. All of them. We're all getting objections. So I'd rather know how to use it and how to get past it than fucking try and prevent it. No such thing.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that, Bill, because I've definitely been a part of trainings from some top trainers in the world, let's say, where they've said, well, you're not going to get objections if you catch everything upstream on discovery. Yeah, and I appreciate you clearing that up, because it's right, because I know through experience myself, I still get the objections, even if I do the discovery so well, even if we're just pulling layers off and they're feeling the pain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why people say that, Joel, is because they actually don't know a bulletproof system in order to do so. And that's why I've made a ton of money and helped a ton of people. I've only been in business 3 years. I've coached over 3.5, nearly 4,000 people. That is a hell of a lot of people.
Crazy.
Yeah. I'm saying to you. So the reason why is because I solved the biggest problem. If I went out there and spoke about what Cardone spoke about, or Tony spoke about, or Jeremy spoke about, or Michael Oliver spoke about, or all of these big players and that have done before us, if I kept going, pre-handle objections, what that basically means is, instead of handling at the end, I'm just handling it up top. That's what pre-handling means, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's like someone saying to you, let's go for pre-drinks before we go to the club. It's basically saying, let's go for drinks before we go to the club to drink. It doesn't even make sense. It's like, let's just go and drink and then just go and drink. It's the same fucking concept of let's go and pre-handle objections to handle objections. It is the same fucking concept. You're drinking and drinking. You're just moving where you're handling it. That's all. And that's what they sold for years. I just come in and said, fuck all that. I'm just going to handle the shit. That's what I did.
Mm. The difference. I have a big belief that if somebody jumps on an enrollment call, a sales call, they're there because they need something, right? Absolutely. Like, nobody books a time in, especially if you have a triage team or an SDR team, nobody books in with that first person and then jumps on a second call and puts an hour on their calendar and an hour with you if they don't want something, right? Do you have any mind frames or anything that you hold before you're entering into a call? Is there anything that you focus on, any frame you step into psychologically, mentally, emotionally before you jump into a call so that you don't slip out or buy into their BS excuses during the call?
I think everyone's here to buy. Everyone's here to solve a problem. If I can't uncover that problem, or they don't know what that problem is, it's not my job to find it. Meaning, if you don't know what you're trying to solve, then I can't actually help you. But if you've come through a triage, you've obviously gone and done some homework that we send you, and then you come back for the second call, you have a problem that you want solved, and it's our job, you and I, to figure out how we're getting that solved. That's it. That's it. That's all it is. Because if you break it down any further than that, there's always room for human error. There's always room for people that don't want to do anything. Meaning, like, the closers won't. Oh, I just didn't think he was pre-qualified, or I didn't think X, I didn't think Y. Before you know it, all the ad budget is blown up the wall on fucking shit closers, and then the business is in trouble. That's how people get caught.
Good points, man. Good points. So what would you say, and I'll give you maybe an example, this could help. Let's say you've got a closer, he ends up making, closing 3 million revenue in 1 year. His comms are fat, he's making 10% comms. He's making about 300K comms. And he's like, yeah, I'm doing really well. Better than all the other jobs I was a part of, running my own business, whatever it may be. Yep. What are some of the dangers that you see somebody that's crushing it in sales runs into after a while, where they start to plateau or get too comfortable?
Yeah, it's like, why do people plateau in the gym? Because they're not challenging themselves to hit a higher record, and they're not challenging themselves to lift more. That's the first issue. So they have to realign their goals. The problem, Joel, is that when you get above the pain line, is which I call, um, you have to reestablish the next aspect of the goal. So the pain line is like, do I have enough to have a nice car? Can I pay my bills comfortably? Can I take my girl out once or twice a week and have a nice meal? Can I go into the shop and buy something? You're not going to be rolling around with Rolex every day, but you're not going to be broke, and you're not going to be hungry, and you're not going to be starving. So that's the pain line. Once people get above the pain line, which most people want to, and most people are aiming for in their life, 90% of people are trying to get pay line. Then you got to reestablish new goals. You got to reestablish new markers. If you don't reestablish new goals and new markers, you end up plateauing. You end up doing the same shit over and over again, and your goals and your performance starts to go down, because if you keep turning up doing the same thing over and over again, it's eventually going to actually start go against you. So you got to reestablish your goals firstly, but then you got to go and challenge yourself at a bigger place. Yeah. So you could be the best thing in a small pond. You can be the biggest fish in the fucking fishbowl, or you could actually go and reestablish where you want to be and who you want to be renowned for. That's the big thing. And then it's like, how do I get better? Like, how do you challenge yourself to get better? Who do you work with that ultimately are going to challenge you? Who's making more money than you that are going to force you to grow up and grow past that? That's the key. But you got to compare yourself to the right people. You know what I mean? And it's got to be like so far away that it's actually insulting that you're even going to compare yourself to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes you have closers that are in a team with other closers, and they're looking at the leaderboard and they let it get to them, right? Especially if they don't have a good start to the month. What advice would you give to somebody that maybe they've had a good month, but then they start slipping on the next month, and then they start to fall into comparison on the sales leaderboard?
Do you ever watch soccer? You watch football?
No, but my friend actually, I don't want to forget this. He said you're a Man United fan, so he's got a question for you.
I'll tell you this. So about 2005, 2004, 2006, I think AC Milan were playing Liverpool, and they were beating them 3-0 going into halftime. Now, 99.9% of the time, guess what would have happened in that game? AC Milan would have come out and just fucking put another two past them, and Liverpool would have got a goal in the last kind of couple of minutes, and they would have lost the game 4-5-1. But the concept is that Real AC Milan thought the game was over, and Liverpool came out, scored 3 goals in the second half, brought it to extra time, and brought it to penalties, and won on penalties. And the reason I say that is because most people think that, you know, just because you had a good quarter that it's over, or just because you had a good start to the month that you're going to continue, or if you haven't had a good start to the month, you're destined to fail. You know, things can change in a week, things can change in a quarter, things can change in a month, but it's the belief system in yourself to keep going day after day, which is the key. But the problem I see with closers, Joel, and you may see this, have been in business a long, long time, is that when things don't go right and things aren't going where they wanted to go, they keep chopping and changing. They're chopping and changing. Saying things, don't have a framework, do have a framework, stop and having a framework, coaching, and just throwing stuff against the wall, and then it just splatters everywhere. Nothing sticks. That's the issue. You have to have something you believe in.
Yeah, look, man, I got to be honest. I'm guilty of that. You know, it's like I have a way of going about it on a call that's authentic. And then when if I had a rough week, I start to change everything. I go, oh, I need to change this and I need to change my frame. And then I just get worse and worse, you know? Yeah. So I understand that. It's coming back to your center and just being the man still.
The tip on that is, like, everyone has 10 great calls. If you've been on enough sales calls, you have 10 great calls. We were like, I was on fucking fire there. I asked the right questions. I picked up on all the cues, all the markers, all the tells, all the giveaways. Picked up on everything. I'm proud of that call. I really helped that person. Store those in a Google Drive. And every day that you're feeling like you're fucking turning, listen to those in the gym. Listen to those as you're driving around. Just listen to the way that you're sounding, the way that you're speaking, the way that you're carrying yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, the strength that you have in your words, the pace, the cadence, the pauses. Just listen to how you perform. And I guarantee you, just reestablishing that you are what you think you are, and that you are good at what you do, will absolutely give you the encouragement and the support and the commitment to keep going. Because the problem is when people are losing, you look for reasons not to lose further. That's where people go wrong. You got to reestablish that you're not a loser, that you are a winner, and that you have won. Go back to the winning, because it's the winning that gives you the support, but also the motivation to know that you are what you think you are. That's all it is.
Mm. I love that. So to go back to what you were saying before, when you have a tough week, it's almost like zooming out, right? Zooming out and seeing, hey, there's a lot. I've got more time here to turn things around.
Correct.
And the other thing here is with the focus on, let's say, objection handling, because some people will have their go-to lines, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a line, or and I know you're not sticking to the script all the time, and know it's very much about connecting, but do you have a line that you feel that can quite easily turn things around when you get to the objection handling stage of the call? Is there any go-to line that you're like, this one's a winner?
Which objections do you have? I've got
I mean, there could be a number. We had the I need to think about it. We already covered that, but another one could be it's too expensive, or that's a lot. That's a lot more than I thought it would be.
Yeah, most things are, unfortunately, Joel. But the most important thing is, with what I've given you, do you believe it can get you where you want to go? Whether it's an inch, mile, or a foot, whether it's $1 or $1 million, does it work? Yes or no? You're going to say yes, but okay, but what's the but? It works or it doesn't work? Okay, why does it work? If it was $1, it would be the best thing since sliced bread, wouldn't it? Okay. So is it a case that you want to do it, but you're just not financially there? So how do I work with you so we can get you there, so you can get there? When people talk about objection strolls, what do prospects focus on and what do closers focus on? There's two places. I'm going to give you two.
Closers are trying to focus on getting that deal, man, getting that grub, and then the prospect is trying to work out whether they trust you. They're trying to work out whether they should put their money and their time.
Eat the seed. And closers, they're always focusing on inputs. They're always worried about what they got to put in. I got to reframe the conversation to what's coming out. Because if you can get it to what's coming out, the inputs are always going to be justified and valued based on what they believe is the actual ability to get there. So if I give you an example, right? If it's a 5K program, but the concept is I'm getting you to 10K for the rest of your life. The most important thing is I got to reframe that thinking to believing that that person can actually achieve 10K for this year, which is 120K this year. Next year is 240, and so on and so forth. Over the next 10 years is $1.2 million with a 5K investment. Now, if I brought that to Wall Street, how many people would chop my fucking hand off? So it's just a quick reframe, a hook analogy, something to spin the needle from inputs to outputs. If you can get it to outputs quickly, then you got yourself a chance. That's the difference. Most people want to argue what the input is. Closers are going to be like, no, it's really, the value is there. Like, it's not that much. It's not this, it's not that. So they're going to argue on the inputs. So you got to reframe it to the output.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So it's showing them how they can get an ROI, like almost to the point where it's a no-brainer. If you put this much in, this is what's going to come from this.
But it's not about showing them. It's about asking them, do they believe that they're going to get there? Because it's not our decision. That's where most closers get it wrong. It's like, I asked everything right. I did everything right. But they still said no. And I'm like, yeah, guess what? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, because it's not your fucking decision. All that you can do every day is do the best that you can do. Whether they get in the car or not is up to them, But you got to get it to the outputs. Yeah. It's got to come to the outcome. You got to get it all the way up top. And it's got to be, their decision, which is the key to a great objection handler.
And I guess that comes down to, because you shared there are three things that typically will stop somebody from moving forward. It's fear, logistics, and money, right?
Yeah.
So if they have fear, which actually can come up quite a lot, especially if, let's say someone that's listening to this podcast right now, they're selling a product where it can actually change someone's life. It's not a bogus product. It legitimately can improve someone's life.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes maybe it's the way that a closer has described it on the phone that's overcomplicated it. Maybe they've missed some things and haven't shown how that person can get a return on investment. But the fear, because this is a big one that we get to tackle. I find that sometimes in a sales environment, you can turn into a freaking therapist or a coach because you're trying to coach them through their fear, and then you lose frame in the enrollment. Like, well, what are your thoughts around this?
Correct. I have a great couple of guys that work with me in terms of clients and stuff like that. And they're great coaches. And the problem with being a great coach is when you're trying to sell somebody, but also coach somebody at the same time, it doesn't work because you're ultimately solving the problem. People come to you because they want to feel better, typically. In order to actually truly feel better, they have to invest in order to get the outcome. But when you just tell somebody what they want to hear, then it takes the pressure out of the conversation and then they don't move forward. So when you're a great coach, you have to take the coach hat off and you have to be a salesman and a salesperson because you're selling them on the ability to believe in themselves enough to make the change. The problem that you have is when you have both, it's shutting down the coaching aspect because you know what you want to say. You see somebody in pain, you want to help them through their fears, but it has to be at the outcome of making the forward decision. That's the problem. That is the problem. But the whole context of fear is very, very simple, Joe. Like if you broke down fear, which every prospect has, I don't care who you are, what you are, where you're from, every fucking prospect has fear. Just 4 types of fear, Joel, which are really important. It's me, you, yesterday, and tomorrow. And if you have frameworks and a structure of how you overcome those, then you ultimately know how to do it, which is like identify, which is you got to understand which is the actual objection. You got to normalize it. You got to take this thing out of the conversation. You got to change the world view, which is what we use, hooks, analogies, frameworks. You got to bring some humor into the conversation, which is really important. That's how you help people move past fears. And then you have to come back to binary decisions, which are yes or no decisions. Once you understand that framework, once you understand 4 types of fear, then you ultimately have a chance. That's the key.
Okay, so the 4 types of fear: fear of me, fear of you, fear of yesterday, and fear of tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay, so let's break down each one real quick.
Yeah.
Just one line. So like, let's say there's fear of me. What's a one-line reframe for this one?
So a fear of me is ultimately they're fearful of themselves. They've not done something before or just not really truly confident in themselves. That would be a bucket 1 type person. So there's 3 different types of buckets: buckets 1, 2s, and 3s. Bucket 1s are people that are probably anywhere from 16 to 25. They haven't really invested in themselves. Probably haven't had a whole lot of social interaction with people. They've probably been in a job that they hate and that they don't want to work on. So they're lacking confidence and self-belief. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So a quick reframe that you would use is ultimately something like, but can I ask you, Joel, like I know you're a little bit apprehensive on yourself because you've not done something like this before. Well, let me ask you this. What were you scared of that you did and now you're not scared of in your life? You ever jump out of a building? Did you ever jump out of a helicopter parachute on?
I was going to say launch your own business, but you're like, you're taking it to the next level.
Yeah. Well, even launching your own business, you know, there was fears, there were apprehensions, there was ultimately everything that you had, but you did it. And now here you are. Would you change anything for it? Would you change any decision that you made back all those years? You wouldn't, would you? So what you're doing is you're allowing your prospect to actually think of times that they overcame the fear that ultimately is being faced today. But you have to make the reason of overcoming that fear as important as this decision. And that's why I reframed it back to, do you believe that you would have made a different decision? Do you believe that you made a tremendous improvement in your life? So what would make you feel that you're not going to make a tremendous improvement in your life now? You understand what I'm saying to you? So that's just a quick reframe of ultimately changing the perspective of how they see the world. That's all it is.
That's really cool because you're getting them to tap back into a reference point in their mind of a time where they did it that then feeds into the belief in the subconscious. You've done this before. You're safe. Move forward. Yeah, I like that.
What is fear? Like, what is fear, Joel? Fear is ultimately...
That's uncertainty. Yeah, it's...
future momentum. That's all it is.
And it's usually inexperience, right? That's where uncertainty comes from. It's like if you had enough experience in something, the uncertainty... I have this sort of framework where it's like, you know, the fear can always be up here, but it's our knowledge and experience that gets us to meet fear where it's at and stare fear in the face, right? It's not that it goes away. It's just that you match it. Yeah.
Big key aspect of that is I see a lot of people like taking my frames and doing whatever they want to do with them, but you have to understand what you're doing. And the small subtle change there is I asked you what your fears were. most prospects and most closers, most closers and salespeople want to talk about themselves.
Hmm.
But you don't give a fuck about me, really, do you?
Yeah, so I'm going to help.
Yeah, it's like, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger had this fear when he came to America. He's like, who the fuck's Arnold Schwarzenegger? Why is that relevant to my situation? Or it's like, I remember my aunt, was fearful of driving a car, but, her son was sick one day and she really jumped in the car and she got our kid to hospital. It was like, I didn't even know who you are. Now you're going to remember your name in fucking 4 hours. Do you know what I mean? So you got to make the conversation about the people that matter, which is the prospect. That's where most closers go wrong, is they think that call is theirs. It's not. You're just a fucking vehicle. Shut up and do your job. That's all you're supposed to.
Yeah, yeah. I like that you keep it simple. You just strip it back and get down to the basics of it and say, this is what it is. Yeah, I love it.
But
So
that's business though, Joel, isn't it? Like that's the concept
yeah.
of business. Most people complicate business because they want to sell you on something of difficulty. And, if I sell you on something that's so difficult, you're going to have to do it and you're going to have to invest, because if you didn't invest, then how are you ever going to overcome something so difficult? That's the whole mental frame. My whole philosophy was make it so simple, stupid, that you have no barrier to making money. That's how all the guys make 30, 40, 50,000. Not all of them, of course. Some of the really, really top guys. But most of them, if not all of them, can make a financial improvement of where they were. Because it's just concepts. It's just understanding people and understanding yourself.
Yeah. So much of this is psychology, understanding, the mind. Okay, so you said fear of me, we covered that. Fear of you. So what would be a one-line reframe for this?
Yeah,
Okay.
fear of you as a salesperson, which is basically them saying, I don't know, like, or trust you enough to make an investment. That's what they're saying. Yeah?
Yep.
So I would just go, so what would you need to see from me today in order to give you the belief that you are going to be the person that's going to be successful?
Yep.
Like you've already seen, because ultimately you have shown yourself that, you believe in me enough to be here. You didn't have to be here. You're here because you believed in enough that what you saw, that there is a hope, a wish, or pray that what we do can help you get to where you want to go. So what more do you need to see from me in order to help you believe that you are the person that's going to be and the outcome of all of this? You know what I mean? So it's just, how do I help you tell me what the hell is going on? So basically what they would say is, look, I just haven't seen enough testimonials or case studies or something like that. And then it's like, well, how many would you want to see in order to believe in yourself? So now that you haven't seen 700 testimonials, that shapes you and your belief system in yourself. So how do I help you believe in yourself without seeing 700 fucking testimonials? Or how do I help you have security in yourself and security in me that ultimately will give you the belief system to move forward? And then it could be like, well, what if I try it for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it is. So like if you're a business owner, you can move around and stuff like that. But this typically happens, Joel, when people see an ad, they book on a call, and there's no understanding, and there's no, process of know, like, and trust, and you're just throwing people on calendars and stuff like that. It's not the right way to go about it. It just makes our job very difficult.
For sure. Yeah, and sometimes that's the case, right? Especially in the case if you're working with a lot of busy entrepreneurs that aren't making the time because their calendars are so productive already, and you're trying to get them to watch a 2-hour video or a 1 hour, whatever. It's just like, it makes it so tough for everybody else, for sure. Okay, so that's pretty clear, man. That's, the trust and rapport that gets to be built, and then the clarity to find out how else can I help you with this, so that this is no longer a fear for you.
So that would be a fear of me. And then the other one is what? Fear of yes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
that's
that would be
pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah. Fear of yesterday is basically, I tried something before, it didn't work out, so I'm fearful of investing in it again. I would ask them quickly, I would say, Joel, do you ever crash a car?
No, I actually haven't.
Did you ever fall off a bike?
Crashed a motorbike, yeah.
When you crashed that motorbike, what did you feel?
The adrenaline coursing through my body, and
It scared?
rocked
Like
me.
split second when you realize, fuck, I'm off this bike, I'm gonna hurt myself.
Yeah.
Did it scare you enough, and did it stop you from ever getting on a bike again?
No, it didn't.
Okay, why not?
Because I guess I told myself a story of like how it happened, and it's pretty rare in how it happened, and it's not usually how I ride.
Would it be fair to say that the belief and the value and the emotion positively of what you get from riding a bike was so much that, like, the fear of not crashing ever again was just too much? And it's the same thing about your life. Where you are right now is not where you want to be. So the fear of staying here, is that enough for you not to believe in yourself again just because you crashed one time to ever get to where you want to go tomorrow? Because if it is, then nobody can help you. But you're here because you want to be helped. So stop standing in your way and actually get out of your own way and move forward. And then I would use a little bit of humor in terms of like crashing the bike. And you crash the bike because you've got a big head. It's very hard to balance that, I guess. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, so you
I had a big ego.
yeah. So I can take the pressure out of that. So that would take the pressure out of that, which would be, that humor aspect. And then I would go back to the binaries and I would do some additional. I'd say, Joel, do you believe in yourself? Yes or no?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Do you believe yourself? Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes, binary.
So you have to ask that again because you didn't want to tell yourself yet.
Yeah.
So you got to double down quickly. That's that whole scene to frame. But it's like when you asked me earlier on, it's like, how do you keep people to the fire? How do you actually re-ask questions very quickly, just like that? So that's a yes. That's a solid yes. And the second question is like, do you believe in me? Do you believe that I can help you get there? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are you sure?
100%.
See how you paused? So I have to double down again. And then the last one is like, do you believe in your family? Do you believe that you are the person to help your family get to where you want to go? Do you believe that the fruit of your labor is going to give your family a better life? Yes or no?
Yes.
The last one is always the most important. What was the last person I talked about, Joe?
Me.
The last
to get me where my family.
Yes. Why your family?
Why my family?
Why do you think I put the family at this piece?
Because they're my everything, man. It's like I'd die for them. Yeah.
Yes. Most people would say the people that I love is mostly what I do things for. So first I have to start with the person. So it's going to be them, me, us. So you use binaries. So them, me, us. Us is like your family and your, people that will help.
Yeah.
Now, once you agree to those 3 yeses, the last thing is like, so if all of those are yeses, the only decision you have to make today is crossing the line and believing in yourself to move an inch, a mile, or a foot. Is that the case today? Yes or no? So it's very hard to go through that whole frame.
I see, because I've said yes, yes, yes. So I'm like, you're walking me up the mountain right now, bro. I'm going from vegan to carnivore.
Correct. See, most people are going like, I'll never eat meat again. Well, like if my daughter was getting married and she wanted me to try some steak, like I would warm up to that. So I'm chopping down the tree as such. You don't chop down the tree by one big clean swipe. It's lots of little swipes, 1,000 cuts, as they say, And then the last one is the big one. Do you believe yourself? And then from there, you're like 98%. It's just like, well, just move an inch, a mile, or a foot. Everything is very calculated, it's very tactical, it's very structured, it's very understanding. But the biggest thing is like, I'm there for the person, I'm there for the prospect, I'm there for them believing themselves enough. It's all this.
Yeah, so much value that you're dropping right now. We're going to wrap up soon, but I'm just so happy we got so much value here. One other question I have when it comes to frameworks, I know you shared the North Star framework. Can you walk us through that in like 60 seconds and like what's the speed question that exposes the real gap in conversations?
So there's 5 questions in the North Star, whereas most people discoveries are absolutely horseshit. They're absolutely the worst thing in doing work because they take identity and they take future pace, cost of inaction, which I have kind of different breakdowns and stuff, and then they bundle it all together and hopefully that it washes itself. It doesn't. So the whole context of a North Star is you have to get the prospect to understand where they want to go. So the first question is, do you know what you're specifically looking to get to, which is the goal? Can I ask you then, like, where are you starting from? So if I had a fucking pen and paper now to show you. So people want to get to the top of the mountain. In order to get to the top of the mountain and how far I got to get them, I got to figure out where the fuck they are. So for argument's sake, you came to me, let's say you wanted to train. You're like, Bill, I want to get to 50 grand a month. I'll say, okay, cool. So the goal is 50K a month. So where are you currently starting from today? Well, I'm at 20. Okay, so the bridge is 30. We got to get 30. Okay, so what are you currently doing today? Not what you've done, but what you're doing today in order to bridge that gap. Okay, the reason I want to focus on today is because I don't care about fucking 16 years of fucking shit. That's where most people go wrong. What have you tried up to now to ultimately get X, Y, and Z? And then it's like, well, I've tried everything. It's like, and now we're fucked because then, I got this brand new shiny pen.
The whole life story. Yeah, they go into the history. Yeah.
So I go today. What are you currently doing today? Okay, nothing. Okay, would it be fair to say that we're going to have to make some small tweaks to get you on the right path to kind of really double down and get there as quickly as you want to get there? How do you feel? So I would say small tweaks if you want to go from like 10K to 15. If you want to go from 20 to 50, you got to make a big change. So would it be fair to say that you're going to have to make some big changes here in order to kind of really speed this up and get there as quickly as you want to get there? There you go. So small tweaks, big change. Big change is a big gap. Small change is obviously small tweaks. Now from there, then it's obviously once we get the establishment of the 50K, I got to figure out why. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Which is like identity, respect, honor, passion. You know, I want to be a leader. I want to go down in history. I want legacy. I want to give my family a great life. That's what 50K allows you to get every single month and beyond and so on and so forth. I got to get that to get the why now. So the why now is going to be, so why do you feel now is the time to kind of really achieve 1, 2, 3 and then make the money that will allow you to do so rather than just kind of keep making 20. So that will create the gap. But unless you get to 50, so if you remember when we were in school, they put a word in the middle, they put a circle around it, and they would use all the spider webs off it. The 50K is the middle, and then the reasons and the stories and the excuses and all of that great stuff is what's coming off. Unless you get the alpha, you're not going to get the 50. That's what the North Star is.
That's cool, man. It's kind of like it's building a web of belief for that person that they need it and it's possible. That's really cool. I like
So
that.
most people's discovery are talked about what hasn't worked and where do they not want to get to. You understand? So most people's discovery of like, what have you done up to now that ultimately hasn't worked? Why the fuck do I want to talk about what hasn't worked? Makes no sense, does it?
Waste of time.
It's wasting time and it's conversations that they've had with fucking 20 other people based on shit that hasn't worked. If you want people to engage with you quickly in a conversation, talk about where they want to go. And people open up like a fucking library. Because everyone wants to talk about who they want to be and where they want to get to, and their dreams, their aspirations, their goals, the person that they get to be, the people that they get to take care of. Everybody knows that forward. Nobody wants to talk about the shit they failed. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
For sure. I don't know if I saw, and thanks for sharing, man. That's powerful. I'm not sure where I saw this. It might have been on a video that you did, or maybe somebody left a comment. I can't remember. But do you lead with the investment early, like the price? Do you bring that up early, or?
Yeah, so I will give them the time. So basically how I would frame the end of the conversation. So let's say you wanted to join the objection box, whatever it be, I would go, so Joel, in order to join the objection box, it's 7K, okay? Now there's a couple of ways that we need to go about that, but the time frame is 12 weeks, so taking you from 5K to 12K. And how we can go about that is different ways that we can break it down that I can go through in a minute. But in order to get you from 5K to 12K, there's kind of 3 big aspects that we need to go over. The first one, which is like, remember a moment ago you said to me that you can't really overcome objections and you're losing 10 deals a month based on that, and it's 500 a pop. You're losing 5,000 a month because you can't overcome it. Think about it in parent. So the first 30 days for us is we're going to show you exactly what to do, how to do it, when to do it. So you know how to actually do it every single week and every single month moving forward. Make sense? Any questions on that? So that would be like the investment, the timestamp, and many ways to do it. Because when you give an investment, where people's minds are going is, fuck, I don't have the 7K or 8K or 9K or 10K. But if you tell them the outcome that they're going to achieve, and there's many ways that you can make that work in terms of breaking down and payment plans and funding and X and Y and Z, that allows somebody to understand that there's other ways rather than just having 7K liquid. Maybe they had 4K liquid and they could break down the other fucking 3 or 4K in payment structures. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So you have to give that a concept. And most people are going to be like, yeah, but what about a paid in full? I'm like, yeah, and ask that, how often do you get paid? You get paid once a month. So before the end of the month, all of those payment plans, you ring them up and say, hey, I can get you the paid in full if you invest before the end of the month. Let's say you'll pick up another 30% paid in full before the end. So what?
So then you're sort of beating it to the punch. You're not going to have as much resistance around the money. When that's the case, because they feel that you're trying to help them out there. It's not like you're just trying to take. Yeah, and you are, and you actually are. Yeah.
That's what you're there for. You're there to help people, and helping people is ultimately helping them make the financial investment. So it's actually going to, give them the outcome rather than stressing them out.
Yeah. That's cool, man. I feel like we could talk all day. I'm going to wrap up now. I actually have a question that came through from my friend Sam. He's in sales, and I said, hey, I'm going to be jumping on with Bill, and he goes, oh man, ask him a question. And I was like, what's the question? He said, it's kind of a joke. He said, you could ask him what advice he'd give Ruben Amorim, because he's a Man United fan.
Yeah, Ruben Amorim is the ability to be fluid. The problem with Ruben is he's so fluid, or he's so rigid on his system, that he's going to cost himself his job over the next 12 months. He's got you like everything. If you keep knocking on the door and it doesn't go in, it's like maybe you got to give it a kick, or maybe you got to go through the window, or maybe you got to go around the back. You know what I mean? You got to be adaptable and fluid in everything in life, so you don't miss the opportunity. Don't be so fucking rigid on your way that it costs you everything. And I'll ask you to ask your friend, does he remember Blockbuster? Does he remember HMV? Does he remember rental out DVDs? No. Why? Because Netflix came in with an adaptable process and they wiped them off the board. Does he remember BlackBerry? No. Nobody remembers the losers. Everybody remembers the winners. So you got to be adaptable. You got to be fluid in your decision making based on what the conversation and the current situation is showing.
Love it. Yeah, anyone that's listening who doesn't know who Ruben is, he's a Man United football player. So
unfortunately,
he's screwing things up. Yeah,
I like when he speaks his mind and he does his thing, and he's absolutely 100% in a system. But it's like everything, you got to be adaptable. You got to be fluid to the situation. If you're not, you get yourself in trouble. Not everything is black and white. There has to be gray and.
Yeah, and that's why you're not so big on having scripts, right?
No, a framework. You have to have a framework. You have to have an identity and a structure. But in a structure, in a framework, especially in football, like there's many different things that can change. There's many different ways that you can win a game. There's many different ways that you can hold on to possession. Same in a conversation. There's many different ways where you can win sales. There's many different ways where you can help a prospect. If you're just rigid on one process, one structure, you're chopping off most of your opportunity, which is not the way to go about it, especially in the performance-based industry, especially like soccer and football, as we would call it, but you guys would call it soccer, and especially in sales. You got to be adaptable. You got to be fluid.
Sales is like a sport. It sure is. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate that. You're amazing, brother. You shed so much value. Where can we get coaching from you? What's your website address, your socials, so we can.
To be honest with you, Joel, we're giving it away. I'm taking a couple of months off just to kind of chill out, enjoy life. I've kind of sprinted for the last 5 years. From 28, I've just kind of doubled down. As I said to you, even going through over 2 years of hardship, daily, weekly, monthly, even hourly. It takes its toll. It takes its toll on you, and I want to enjoy a little bit of time. So if you click on my Instagram, there's a free course there. If you join the community, there's free trainings in there. I'm giving it away for the next couple of months. I'm building up a tremendous amount of goodwill in the market again. Been very fortunate enough that people have given a tremendous amount to me in terms of their attention, their time, their respect, their finances, and now it's time to give a little bit back. So if you want it, guys, it's free. Just ask me. It's there. Just click the buttons, fucking take it, run away with it, make a ton of money, just say thanks. That's all. That's where I'm at with it.
Legend, man. I appreciate you. We end every interview with this one last question, and this question is, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like?
Oh, fuck, last 30 seconds, go all the way. That's one thing. Go all the way. Don't leave any stone unturned. Believe in yourself every day. Show yourself the resilience that you need and desire in order to win. And at the end of it all, in 100 years, no one will remember your name. So be bold, be brave, go for it, and fucking prove the world you are worthy of your success.